I was on bed rest, 7 months pregnant with our first child, bleeding and terrified of losing the baby I tried for 3 years to conceive. And that's when my husband decided it was the perfect time to start an affair. Not after the pregnancy. Not before the complications. During. While I lay in our bed, hooked up to monitors, forbidden from standing for more than 5 minutes at a time, he was building a relationship with someone else. My name is Claire Thompson, and this is the story of how my husband betrayed me when I was at my most vulnerable, blamed me for pushing him away, and how I made absolutely certain he'd regret choosing the worst possible moment to destroy our family. Let me take you back to where this nightmare began. My husband Derek and I had been trying to get pregnant for 3 years. 3 years of negative tests, fertility treatments, hormone injections that made me feel insane, procedures that were invasive and expensive and emotionally devastating. We'd almost given up when I finally saw those 2 pink lines. I was pregnant. We cried together. Derek held me and promised me everything would be different now, that our family was finally starting, that this was the beginning of our real life together. I believed every word. The first trimester was rough but manageable. Morning sickness that lasted all day. Exhaustion so deep I could barely function. But I was happy. We were happy. Derek came to every appointment, held my hand during every ultrasound, talked to my belly every night. He seemed genuinely excited to become a father. Then came the bleeding. I was 24 weeks pregnant when I woke up in a pool of blood. We rushed to the hospital. The doctors said I had placenta previa. My placenta was covering my cervix, and any movement could cause hemorrhaging that would kill both me and the baby. They put me on strict bed rest. Complete bed rest. I couldn't work, couldn't cook, couldn't clean, could barely walk to the bathroom. I had to lie flat, day after day, week after week, waiting and praying that my baby would survive long enough to be born safely. Derek promised he'd take care of everything. He worked from home when he could, hired someone to clean the house, ordered takeout for meals. He told me not to worry, that he had everything under control, that my only job was to stay calm and keep our baby safe. And I tried. God, I tried so hard. But bed rest is torture. It's not rest, it's prison. You lie there, hour after hour, feeling your body betray you, terrified that one wrong move will end your baby's life. And you're completely helpless, completely dependent, completely vulnerable. I started noticing changes in Derek about 6 weeks into the bed rest. He'd come home later than necessary. He'd take phone calls in other rooms. He'd shower as soon as he got home, before even checking on me. When I'd ask about his day, he'd give vague answers and change the subject. When I'd ask him to sit with me, he'd say he was tired and needed space. When I'd cry from fear and isolation, he'd tell me I was being hormonal and emotional. He made me feel like my legitimate feelings were pregnancy-induced irrationality, like I was the problem. One night, about 8 weeks into bed rest, I tried to initiate physical intimacy. Not sex, the doctor had forbidden that, but just closeness. Touching. Connection. I needed to feel like I was still his wife, not just an incubator he had to manage. Derek pulled away and said, "Claire, I can't right now. You're not yourself. You're needy and clingy, and honestly, it's exhausting. I need you to give me space to breathe." I remember lying there after he left the room, feeling more alone than I'd ever felt in my life. My body was failing. My husband was pulling away, and I couldn't even get out of bed to do anything about it. The signs became more obvious. He'd smile at his phone and quickly lock it when I glanced over. He'd take work calls that sounded more personal than professional. He'd volunteer to run errands that took 3 hours when they should have taken 30 minutes. And when I'd mention feeling disconnected from him, he'd turn it around. "Claire, you're being paranoid. You're stuck in bed all day with nothing to do but overthink. I'm here, aren't I? I'm taking care of everything. Stop creating problems that don't exist." If you're still watching this, hit that like button, because what I'm about to tell you gets so much worse before it gets better. I was 32 weeks pregnant when I found out the truth. Derek had gone to the grocery store, and he'd left his iPad on the nightstand. A message notification lit up the screen. I wouldn't normally look. I'd never been that wife who invaded privacy. But something about the preview text made my blood run cold. It was from someone named Jess, and it said, "Missing you already. Last night was amazing. Can't wait until this is all over and we can finally be together properly." My hands shook as I opened the iPad. No password. He'd removed it months ago, probably assuming I was too bedridden to ever check his devices. And what I found destroyed what was left of my world. Messages going back 2 months. 2 months of daily conversations with Jessica, a woman from his gym. Messages that were explicit, romantic, planning a future together. But what made me physically sick were the things he said about me. He called me a burden, said I'd let myself go during the pregnancy, complained that I was always crying and needy, told Jessica that being stuck taking care of me was suffocating, and he couldn't wait until the baby was born and Claire got back to normal. He wrote, "I know it sounds terrible, but sometimes I resent her for getting pregnant. Our whole life has become about her health and this baby. I barely recognize her anymore. You make me feel alive again." I read through message after message, watching my husband mock my pregnancy, mock my fear, mock the fact that I was literally risking my life to carry his child. He told Jessica about intimate moments between us, the times I'd cried from fear, the times I'd begged him to hold me, the times I'd apologized for being difficult. He'd shared it all with her like it was entertainment. Like my suffering was a story he told to make himself seem like a martyr. And Jessica ate it up. She called me high maintenance. Said Derek deserved better. Encouraged him to just get through this, and then they could finally be happy together. The worst part? Derek had promised Jessica that once the baby was born and I recovered, he'd leave me. He'd already been planning the divorce, planning custody arrangements, planning his new life with her while I lay in bed fighting to keep our baby alive. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't process. I was 7 months pregnant, on bed rest, completely dependent on a man who was actively planning to abandon me. A man who'd spent months resenting me for being sick, for needing him, for having the audacity to have pregnancy complications. I wanted to scream. I wanted to confront him, but I couldn't, because any stress, any elevation in blood pressure could trigger hemorrhaging, could kill my baby. So I lay there, heartbreaking, silent tears streaming down my face, and I did the only thing I could do. I started planning. I took screenshots of everything. Every cruel message, every plan to leave me, every mocking comment about my pregnancy. I sent them all to my email. Then I contacted my sister through text and asked her to come over urgently but discreetly. When she arrived and read the messages, she cried with me. But she also helped me think clearly. We contacted a divorce attorney who specialized in high-conflict cases. Even though I couldn't leave the bed, I could file paperwork. I could protect myself legally. I could make sure that when Derek tried to leave me after the baby was born, I'd be 3 steps ahead. But I didn't tell Derek I knew. Not yet. I needed to survive the next 8 weeks. I needed to deliver this baby safely. And I needed Derek to keep believing I was clueless, because the moment he knew I'd discovered his affair, everything would explode, and I couldn't risk that stress. So I played the part. I thanked him for taking care of me. I apologized for being needy. I let him believe his betrayal was still secret. And I waited. Before I tell you how this ends, subscribe to this channel and drop a comment about what you would do in this situation. Because the revenge I orchestrated was perfectly timed and absolutely devastating. At 37 weeks, my doctor cleared me for a scheduled C-section. The baby was big enough, my condition was stable enough, and continuing the pregnancy was becoming more dangerous than delivering early. The surgery was scheduled for Friday morning. Derek came to the hospital with me, held my hand in pre-op, told me how proud he was of me for being so strong. He kissed my forehead and said, "We're finally going to be a family." I smiled and said nothing. The surgery went perfectly. Our daughter Emma was born healthy, screaming, beautiful. 7 pounds, fully developed, no complications. They placed her on my chest and I cried, from relief, from love. from joy that she'd survived despite everything. Derek cried too. He held Emma and looked at me and said, "Thank you for giving me this. For giving us this. And I thought, you have no idea what's coming." I spent 3 days in the hospital recovering. Derek stayed with me, played the devoted husband and father, took photos for social media showing our perfect little family. Everyone commented about how lucky I was, how wonderful Derek was, how beautiful our family looked. None of them knew what I knew, that this man had spent the last 3 months wishing I didn't exist, planning to leave me, mocking my suffering to his mistress. On the 4th day, we came home. Derek carried Emma inside while I walked slowly, still recovering from major surgery. He settled us in the bedroom, made sure we were comfortable, and then said he needed to run to the pharmacy to pick up my pain medication. The second he left, my sister arrived with my lawyer. We worked fast, changed the locks on the house, moved Derek's belongings to the garage. And when he returned 30 minutes later, he found the door locked and me standing there with Emma in my arms and divorce papers in my hand. His face went from confusion to shock to panic in seconds. "Claire, what's going on? Open the door." I held up my phone showing screenshots of his messages with Jessica. "I know everything, Derek. I've known for 2 months. While I was on bed rest, terrified of losing our baby, you were planning your exit strategy with your gym girlfriend. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to take these divorce papers. You're going to leave. And you're going to pray that the judge is more merciful than you deserve." He tried to deny it, tried to explain, tried to say it wasn't what it looked like. But I was done listening. "You called me a burden while I was risking my life to carry your child. You mocked me to another woman while I lay in bed bleeding and terrified. You planned to abandon me the second I was no longer useful to you. You don't get to explain. You don't get to apologize. You just get to leave." My sister opened the garage, where all his belongings were neatly packed. His clothes, his electronics, his personal items, everything. "Your stuff is here. You have 10 minutes to load your car and get off this property. After that, I'm calling the police for trespassing." Derek's face crumbled. "Claire, please. I made a mistake. I was stressed and weak, and I wasn't thinking clearly. But I love you. I love Emma. Don't throw away our family over this." I looked at him holding our newborn daughter and said, "You threw away our family the moment you started an affair while I was on bed rest. You threw it away when you called me a burden for being sick. You threw it away when you chose her over us. I'm just making it official." He left, took his things, and drove away. And as I watched him go, holding Emma close, I felt something I hadn't felt in months: relief. Not happiness, not joy, just the profound relief of not having to pretend anymore, of not having to lie in bed wondering if my husband loved me while he planned his escape. The divorce was brutal but swift. My lawyer presented all the evidence, the messages, the plans to leave, the cruel comments about my pregnancy, the affair during my medical crisis. The judge was visibly disgusted. She awarded me primary custody, the house, majority of assets, and maximum child support. She told Derek in court, "You betrayed your wife during one of the most vulnerable periods of her life. You resented her for pregnancy complications she had no control over. You planned to abandon her and your newborn child. This court finds your behavior morally reprehensible and will ensure you face appropriate consequences." Derek tried to maintain a relationship with Emma, but supervised visitation revealed what I'd always suspected. He wasn't interested in being a father. He'd cancel visits, show up late, seem distracted and uninterested. By the time Emma was 1, he'd moved to another state with Jessica and barely contacted us, which was fine with me. We didn't need him. But here's the twist that made everything worth it. 2 years after the divorce, I got a message from an unknown number. It was Jessica. She'd left Derek 6 months earlier after discovering he'd been cheating on her too. She said, "I need to apologize. I was wrong about you. I believed his lies about you being difficult and high maintenance. But I was the difficult one, the high maintenance one, the one he resented. He did to me exactly what he did to you. And I'm so sorry I helped him hurt you when you were at your most vulnerable." I wrote back, Not with anger, not with bitterness, just with truth. You didn't help him hurt me. He hurt me regardless of you. But you helped me see who he really was before I wasted more years. So, in a way, thank you. I hope you heal from whatever he did to you too. Today, Emma is 4 years old. She's healthy, happy, brilliant, and the best thing that ever happened to me. I rebuilt my career after maternity leave and got promoted twice. I bought a bigger house in a neighborhood I love. I met someone new who treats me with respect and adores Emma. And I learned something crucial about myself. I'm stronger than I ever imagined. Strong enough to survive a high-risk pregnancy. Strong enough to discover betrayal while bedridden and vulnerable. Strong enough to plan my escape while pretending everything was fine. And strong enough to build a beautiful life from the ruins of someone else's cruelty. My name is Claire Thompson. I was betrayed while on bed rest, fighting to keep my baby alive, and my most vulnerable and dependent. My husband chose that moment, that specific moment when I literally couldn't leave, to start an affair and plan his exit. He thought my weakness was his opportunity, but he forgot that women who survive crisis don't just survive. We document, we plan, we wait for the right moment, and we make damn sure that the man who kicked us when we were down never gets the chance to do it again. This is what happens when you betray someone during their darkest hour. This is what happens when you mistake vulnerability for weakness. And this is what happens when the woman you tried to discard while she was fighting for her life turns out to be stronger, smarter, and more strategic than you ever imagined. Derek thought he was leaving me, but I left him first. I just waited until I had all my pieces in place to do it right.